episode 1 of the Augmented Imagination podcast. How's it going, Sway?
It's going. I can't believe we're doing this. This is like this is not real. It's not real. It's surreal.
Yeah.
It's a dream come true, and and I can't wait to really get into the details as to why we're here and what we're gonna start presenting and bringing to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely uh, you know, speed running everything. So I think we both agree we're probably don't feel completely ready for this. But it's
No.
nice that the way we're doing it is just start, don't overthink it, and sort of build in public, which again is sort of the template, the framework laid out by Mikey, Jesse, John, what they're doing with the ThinkPod,
Yep.
and not being too precious about stuff and just kind of like letting people in behind the curtain and showing the process a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's very much true of this podcast. Like your favorite AI tools, this is the worst it will ever be. So let's just get going and then build as we go.
Yeah, and you're gonna see a lot of building. I mean, we're building the podcast in public. We're building a tool in public, and we're building ourselves in public.
Love that.
And yeah, and it can't be any more raw than this. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be wild. So the next couple of episodes, um, unapologetically wild because this is all part of the plan, right? For you listeners, watchers, viewers to see how the sausage is cut, made, grilled,
Yep.
sautéed.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, kind of bringing you in, bringing you along on the ride for the process. Yeah, and love to just kind of like unpack what you said there. Like, what is all of this we're doing? What is augmented imagination? I guess we should start there. And first and foremost,
Yeah.
um, I mean, I guess we can conceptually talk about the name, which I've got sort of a backstory for, but essentially, augmented imagination came to me pretty early on when my friend and studio mate Ivan Vidovic, really talented, just kind of creative technologist, I would refer to him as. Like he really bridges the two worlds really really well, which I think is something we want to do as well. But this was
Mm.
like pre sort of mid journey. He was just exploring sort of open source generative tools. And I saw him as just like one person making an entire music video. And I was so blown away by it. It was my first exposure to AI outside of like, I think Dolly was out there, but I don't even think Midjourney was live. And I just, when I saw that, I immediately said, I was like, AI is not artificial intelligence, it's augmented imagination. Like these are literally like
Ooh.
tools that unlock sort of creative superpowers in the individual. So that's where sort of that name stemmed from, and was my initial idea. And then we're just sort of like building on top of that. I mentioned that to like Mike and Jesse, and they're like, "Oh, that's the name. That's so good. You have to run with that."
Yeah. When you mentioned it, it was just perfect, right? I mean, first of all, I love the word imagination. And it hit me, it was over the weekend. For years, I had in my bio, both in my blog, which doesn't exist anymore, all I have is a website now, but in my social bios, I used to just simply say, I imagine for a living. And I used to say that a lot as
Love it.
part of like who I am and how I describe myself because, you know, I can't picture me. I can't picture a day without me like imagining being like either emotionally, physically immersed in the creativity that in that sort of creativity that's where imagination is required. So the name is amazing, and there's so much to play with that. We are augmenting ourselves. Sure, we're seeing, for those who are witnessing the evolution of generative AI, you're seeing how like yeah, tools are being augmented, but we are being augmented even more, as we start using these tools, on top of the craft and skills that we have already built on, for years. So The name is
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, love it. And then, we sort of had that name, and then we were in initial discussions, and really, we're very excited about sort of like what we're building on top of the Think protocol, and we'll get into that. But I think a doorway in for both of us was like this podcast and the idea of this podcast. Like it could exist
Yeah.
totally outside of that, but it's just like kismet that it all comes together and can sort of be one thing. But when we were discussing sort of the podcast early on and what we would want to talk about and feature, you sort of nailed it, where you said essentially bridge the gap between tech and craft. And I absolutely love that. And yeah, that's one of the things I'm real excited to sort of like explore and tease out through this podcast. And I think the two of us really complement each other well, because we sort of like we're the two ends of that spectrum in a lot of ways, like super varied individuals. I love that you had that sort of blanket statement of like, I just imagine for a living. I've done something similar to myself, because it's just like all the different things I'm into, all the different things I create. It's hard to sum up. So I typically just say I make art for communication and communicate through art. But
Yeah, I love that.
this idea of bridging sort of technology and craft is super appealing, and I think is really relevant to creativity and culture at large right now. It is very much needed, and I'm stoked to like step into that space and hopefully like start to build like a community around that and people that want to have that conversation and explore these topics.
Yeah. And that's the purpose of the podcast, is to not only just talk about us and talk about, this project, but also give you an inside look of how, we're approaching our work, and how me and Jonny, we collaborate starting from 6079, and now with Think, we've collaborated as under like the media and art department, helping out with campaigns and branding and videos and the whole anything that had to do with like messaging. We've been involved with that. And I was telling Jonny, I was watching. I'm gonna share real quick a screen here.
Yeah.
I was watching the AI prize fight trailer.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
You said it was like exactly 1 year ago today, or like very
It
close
was
to it.
exactly 1 year
Dude.
ago. So it takes a minute. So let's watch it.
Oh, I don't have audio. I don't know if we need it, but
Can you hear the audio?
no, I can't.
All right. If you can't hear the audio, pretend
Yep.
you can hear the audio.
Yeah. I mean,
You
we
go
can just,
check it out on the old. Yeah, you could check it out on the old 6079 AI YouTube channel. This is the only video that exists, but we did this about a year ago, and this was a promo video for the AI prize fight. And you'll see a mix of Johnny's work, my work, and the whole team's work. Really, this is stuff that Jonny came up with, and it was just fun. It was just fun. It was a full stack process of like motion graphics and branding, animation, and really and education, really preparing the people what was to come with the whole prize fight.
yep. Yeah, dude. Love that you pulled that up, because it is a great example and a good kind of segue to, I guess, like our different sort of skill sets and crafts, if you will. Whereas I'm sort of a brand designer by trade. So I go in, we come up with this idea of AI prize fight. I riff off of like classic Street Fighter brand, create a bunch of brand assets, create the overall look and feel. I almost started by imagining like an arcade sort of machine and what the materials for like an AI prize fight arcade machine would look like. So I just kind of create logo, typeface, color, all that stuff, a bunch of the key art, and then hand it off to you. And then you take it
Yeah.
to the next level and start implementing a lot of the sort of generative AI tools. And I'll let you talk about that a little bit. But I love that this is just sort of like an organic way to talk about our process and the different things that we each bring to the table.
Yeah, and that's kind of just like a high level explanation of our process. But just picture Jonny. He's doing his magic. He's putting it on a whiteboard, on a mood board, and he's sharing it with the team, and we finally decide on what's going to be used, and we take that, we animate that, we start creating using tools like Midjourney, Runway, and just start animating After Effects. It's a mix of both traditional, motion graphics, filmmaking approach to like using like the tools that were available at that time, June 2024. And just doing, in this case, it was doing a very subtle, anime style animation without overcomplicating
Yep.
it and just adding motion.
Yep.
And this is supposed to be informative, right? But you could see when you watch this video, it's kind of like two storylines. You see the action of the fighters, right, leading to who's the winner, but also informing the people what AI prize fight is about. So and if I bring it back a little bit, that's something that we also worked on too, which is the script. So we start with the script. We have the visuals that Johnny's working on. We land on, what's on what the final thing is going to be. And then we enter that post-production phase and that's a whole back and forth. This worked, that doesn't work. Hey, Sway, you went wrong with these colors. Here's the correct color. Okay, let me fix this. What do you guys feel? Here's the music. We go through a music selection process. And this whole thing that I'm talking about right now is going to be reoccurring in the next couple of episodes because there's so much stuff that we've done together. And this is just a preview, and we hope that some of you could take something from this. So we've seen, I think, through these processes, Jonny, we've seen also some gaps, right? And in those gaps, we see an opportunity for us to fill, to help designers, animators, brand directors, art directors collaborate, make that collaboration much more seamless and less, what would you call it?
Less rigid, I guess. And like,
Right.
we should also say that like all this stuff, like we're working on incredibly short timelines because everything in the space happens so fast.
insane.
So it's like week-long sprints to like pull off videos like that, and a lot of it will just be like the two of us, where typically you would have like a team of like 5 or 6. It's like somebody to do sound, somebody to do this. But the cool thing about all of these new tools is like they really empower individuals to fill a lot of those gaps. And like the reality is, like, when you don't have huge marketing budgets or like months to build this stuff, like you can still generate and create some amazing things, but it's just like you got to be scrappy. You got to just like take stuff on yourself, and you got to like figure out how to leverage these new tools. And I think that's like something that we excel at and we've been really good at,
Yeah.
And essentially have produced work that I think people probably assume come from a lot bigger team with much bigger
Yeah.
timelines and budgets. And we just kind of like pull it together and make it happen, and I think we sort of thrive in that.
Yes.
It's like, all right, you've got 3 days. What can you do?
Yeah. And we're talking about like a team of less than 4 people,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um, yeah, that's, and we also want to say that something beautiful about this relationship that we formed, Jonny. We've been working already for like over a year together. It's there's hasn't been any ego, any tension. There's an openness to it because there's this willingness to learn, right? I've learned so much from you, from how you conceptualize ideas, and I've stolen a lot of that, for my own thing. And one of the things as an artist that I seek is structure, right? Because one of my downfalls of when I start imagining, and I think I'll have to credit my ADHD and dyslexia, is like I'm everywhere, right? So
You
it
live in the
hasn't been as
creative
of recently.
chaos.
Oh God, yes I do. But I think you've witnessed now how I've been showing a lot of fig jams and user flows, mind flows, and mind mapping and all that sort of stuff. Because like, okay, I really want to be able to communicate what I want to say here to spark an idea in someone
Yep.
else, and just to make sense of the madness. Because I think that's essential if you're planning to work in a team.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, I appreciate that and feel very much the same about you. And again, like getting back to the kind of podcast, the bigger picture of what we want to do here and the ideas we've discussed and what we're building towards is like, we really want this to be sort of a show for creatives and for creatives by creatives. So one of the things we're really excited about that I think will differentiate our show a little bit from like a lot of other podcasts out there is like we really want to lean into almost this like variety show multimedia sort of approach because like
Hmm.
we're building stuff all the time and we essentially want to share that work, take you sort of behind the scenes of what we did, talk about the process a little bit, and then talk about some of the workflows we use to create that. Because that stuff's super valuable right now because we're all in this new sort of like exploratory space where it's like there's a new tool out every week, there's new capabilities every week. And like, you know, one of the things we always talk about, like if you can dream it, you can build it. You just have to know,
Absolutely.
stitch together the sort of right tools and components. And again, like we're in this like exponentially evolving space. So it takes a lot of sort of exploration and looking around at what's out there and figuring out like, oh shit, I can create like an avatar over here in HeyGen, and then I can bring that into my file
Hmm.
over here. You know, like the stuff you did with like Sway Eye in the Professor Sway series, which I'm sure we'll
Oh
get
god.
into at some
Yeah.
point. But like, I mean, just a few of us essentially produced a, kind of Pee Wee's Playhouse is at the top of my head because I've been watching the new doc. But Bill Nye the Science Guy, those sort of like educational shows
Yeah.
where you created this entire character, you sort of inhabited it, you wrote the script, you filmed it yourself, and then you built basically an AI avatar co-star that you brought in.
Yeah.
But I showed that to people and they're blown away, and I'm like, yeah, this is like four people, mostly you, mostly you,
Yeah.
but like pulled together from like a very small team. And it's one of the most exciting things I think about. There you go, there's Sway Eye right there, about generative AI and these new tools is like it gives us increased capabilities as creatives, and you can sort of build like much more high fidelity projects and complex projects than you could 6 months ago, a year ago. And I think we've
Yeah.
been really good at exploring this, building this, like this entire thing. Like the background is fake, right? Like you built that in Midjourney,
Right.
added some nice animations.
Yep.
But really, this is primarily you. And it was like a huge, I mean, just seeing this was so inspiring for me. I'm like, wow, we can build whatever we want. We can make shows, we can make movies. So we're just leaning into that.
Yeah. 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 A lot of it was me, but we did get some help, and um, Johnny here worked on. Oh man, everybody loves the intro, right? Sadly, we'll figure out the whole audio situation here on the next one, but all of this, Johnny mentioned Yvonne earlier in the intro here. He helped with the animation and generating as well all this stuff and having me run like this. Johnny did the photo shoot, and of course I'm the talent over here.
Did the
Remember
photo
that,
shoot at
Johnny?
the Think office in Seattle, like,
Yeah,
all very just like
and the branding as well.
quick and dirty. Yeah, had a blast with the branding, again trying to like
Yeah,
tap into that like crazy 90s vibes. And then the character you created, dude, was just absolutely incredible. So the fact that, yeah, talk about like a multi-dimensional individual where it's like your background as an actor, you went to film school, like you're learning all these generative AI tools, like you're a represented AI artist now. And
yeah,
I feel like that's sort of like the Think team in general is like we're all these like really high level utility players, and everybody it comes from a place of passion and just like pursuing things you're interested in, and then you realize like, oh man, like John Clem always he has this joke about like wizards only, and I think that like
hmm,
very much represents the team. It's just like all of these super high level like weirdos that are incredible to work with, and I absolutely love it.
yeah. What I love about this is that this year we were not limited to just art, you know, which is why we're here doing this podcast, you know, building eventually tools. And I think that's a reflection of the current state of where we are with this technology, right? And it's something that artists will have to embrace, and or some artists will need help in navigating. And hopefully we can build a community for them. The community where they might not know the answers, but if not us, then someone who's part of that community can help, along the way as we, point out the things that has worked for us. I feel like we've been early in a lot of these things, and now you see, people creating their avatars and people doing stuff like we're ahead of the game at
Yep.
least 6
Yep.
months, ahead of everyone else. So
Yeah.
yeah, phenomenal work.
Yeah, and when you're so deep in it, you kind of forget how early on you are, and this is, again, one of the things I'm most excited about with the podcast. And I think like who we're speaking to and the audience we want to attract. And again, I think there's a real cool opportunity because I'm from like this very sort of like traditional creative background, right? Like graphic designers, illustrators, copywriters. I founded a couple of agencies. So coming from that world, like I speak at conferences but then being involved in our team, and it's all the early adopters, the AI optimists, and like a lot of the people on the more creative side, like there's a real fear around AI and this real reluctance to take it on because they see it as like stealing creativity from people.
Yeah.
Where again, it all comes back to the name. It's like, no, this is like augments your creativity. This literally gives you superpowers. Like if you think this is going to make you less creative, then you're not thinking creatively enough. Like the shit that it unlocks when you just like put down the ego and say like, okay, with these capabilities, like what can I do? What can I build? And I'm really excited to sort of like bring some of the more like traditional creatives in and say like, no, look at these tools, look at how you can integrate these into your existing creative workflows and enhance, right? Like
Right.
the capabilities are just crazy. But again, we're also speaking to this incredible group of sort of builders that we're part of with the Think Protocol and, the Think Builders Club. Shout out the open sourcers, which, we're one of the early projects in there. And I think part of the goal of this podcast is to bring the other teams in, kind of show them what we're doing, give them sort of advice and input on the things we're good at, like building brands, building social content, all of that stuff, because you need all of it. And again, I'm just sort of like excited to bridge that gap between those two worlds because
Same.
everybody's an artist, and we want to unlock that in everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's like our core belief, right?
Yep.
That's we had our belief session with Jesse, who's man, Jesse is amazing at just kind of like asking the right questions, really digging deep as to like when it comes to like looking at your soul. I mean, Jesse is the one
Yeah.
who knows how to do that really well. And here Jonny has the vision deck, which really breaks down where we're going with the augmented imagination and that and really we ended up on that core belief. I think that's the next slide,
Yep.
right, Jonny?
Yep. Yeah, great transition.
At augmented imagination, we believe there's an artist locked inside of you. What does that even mean?
So again, like you said, we had an incredible belief session, which is like what Jesse like is known for and really cut his teeth on. His agency was called Belief Agency for this reason, because he realized that like in order to effectively build a business, talk to the right customers, have your messaging right, you have to zoom all the way out and you have to get this sort of North Star belief statement right. And this all ties in with, Brian McDonald's work in the Armature, Jesse's mentor and sort of business partner who we're currently working with on a project. So it all ties together. But this is one of Jesse's superpowers, is really having a discussion at first and foremost, just kind of listening, but then reflecting back to you like, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I think you actually believe. And then this is the thing you need to orient everything else around. So it's not an easy process to like whittle down like what is your sort of orienting belief down to one sentence. But for us, yeah, it came out as at Augmented Imagination, we believe there's an artist locked inside of you. And I think that's absolutely true because, right, it's foundational to human nature. My uncle, he's sort of a Renaissance man and a lifelong artist, but he always talks to me about, he's like, I think we actually had like art and creativity and cave painting and singing and dancing, like that all predated language. Like that's our first language. And I think he's absolutely right on that. So this just kind of ties back into like, it's in there, it's in everybody, and it's sort of like innate to being a human being. And again, like everybody at Think, like our whole thing is like, let's use AI to become more human.
I love that. I love that. Jesse said that discovering your belief is discovering your core logic.
Yep.
And really also discovering the best version of yourself. He even went a step further, right? If you don't know your personal belief, I mean, there's no point of trying to discover the belief for something else, for a project, for your marriage, for anything, right? It's like you really need to dig deep. And when he asked that after our belief session, I started having my own belief session. I'm like, oh my God, and revisiting that.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, and I landed on, and I was having a conversation with my wife this weekend. I was like, I landed on I can. Just I can.
I love it.
And that's been really the driver for me. Like, I know I can do this, but it's also been my downfall when I'm in my, when I hit that dark place. It's like, I can't. I feel that I can't. But I invested so much on that belief that, I pick myself up, and just move forward. But definitely having that core belief really puts everything in perspective. And from that belief, everything stems, right? From how we operate, how are the culture identity, how we the people that we start to bring in, how this podcast is going to look, how we're going to represent ourselves on social media and life in general. There you go. Because of that, we create tools to unlock the artist inside of you. And also, like we this is what we did. This is what we did. And again, because we're building in public, we recorded the belief session with Jesse. Right. We recorded it. We took that transcript. We took that video and fed it to an LLM model. And we asked the LLM model.
Such a good use case.
Right. To just give us like the high level, what's going on here, what are the things that really stood out, and we also use it as a pre-trained material for us to like build this deck.
Yep.
And one of the things that the model said is like, never lose that belief, never forget, because it's easy, and companies have done it all the time, right? After building for X amount of years, they forget, and we've seen it like with Apple. Right? They forget about what they stood for, what their original belief was about. Always put the artist first, right?
Yep.
Help the artist unlock himself.
Yep. And it's incredible to be able to, we always think of like AI. I mean, it's a collaborator. Like it's another form of consciousness that you get to collaborate with. And people like, we forget like, that is miraculous. That's fucking crazy and so cool. And to be able to just have this sort of like free flowing conversation, right? Just like think through all this stuff and have an LLM listen in and then reflect back to you like, this is what I heard. I think this is really powerful and you need to focus on this. Like that's incredible. And it helps you just like get this level of clarity that like, right, we've got our belief, our belief, we believe there's an artist locked inside of everyone. Because of that, we create tools to unlock the artist inside. Like having that level of clarity is so helpful. And again, for people who are starting their own businesses, creating a solo art show, whatever it may be, like we cannot encourage you enough to do the hard work, think about like, what is that core logic? What is that belief? That is going to inform your purpose. And then once you have your purpose, it will also give you your values, which, you know,
Yeah.
you want to display your values in sort of everything you do. So the values that sort of fell out from our belief, then our purpose, and then our values were optimism, exploration, community. And I'll let you talk about, just kind of why we honed in on those, Sway.
Yeah, and I want to take it a step back a little bit. And like 3 days ago, I brought up to Jonny, because me and Jonny, obviously, we've been talking back and forth daily now on a daily basis. And in fact, we have, he has a live camera when he sleeps. I watch him sleep. Uh, no, we haven't gone that far.
Not yet.
Well, 3 days, not yet, right? 3 days ago, I told Jonny, I love where we're going here, but you and I, we're talking about two different things. Let's sync. Let's be on the same page here. Was before the belief session, and the belief session helped tremendously, just kind of like put all these ideas together. And not only did it do that, I told Jonny, it was Saturday. I was like, Jonny, like reading this, and reading the stuff that ChatGPT has been like spitting out based off of this video. I was like, I kind of had an aha moment, and like this augmented imagination is sure, this is a core belief, but this is you and me. This is like flow and play, because I know Jonny, you're like certified in flow. You're a master of flow, and you practice it every day, meditation and stuff. And that in itself is an art. And me, I'm the playful one. I'm the one testing the tools. I'm the one like going ever trying new things. I want to act. I want to do voice. I want to do like editing. I want to do like, I'm everywhere. And we bring those personalities, we bring those passions together, and everything kind of like just fits so perfectly. And the belief session was just kind of like, yeah, that unlock, right? The cherry on top. And so the belief really helped us focus on those values. And again, credit to Jesse, because he's done this so many times, and he charges like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to have a session like this.
We got like a $10,000 hookup for our belief session.
Easy.
For sure.
Easy.
And it's
easy.
worth
yeah,
every penny,
he's done like super big brands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally gives you the keystone to your logic, which, just sort of informs everything. Your messaging, your products, it's really incredible. But yeah, dude, like
it's very like much like the armature, like you mentioned it, Jonny, is like the belief is very, very similar to the armature when it comes to storytelling, which Brian McDonald does so well in explaining, which is the core idea where everything from the story stems from your characters to the plot and everything. This is the same principle as for this project as well, which inspired the values that, again, what I was going to say before, Jesse did so well in spotting and just kind of like, cluing us in on where we can possibly go. And then from there, this weekend, it was just me and Jonny going back and forth and really trying to land on those three values. It could be more than three, but we thought, if we lock in these three values, I mean, we're good to go, move forward with it.
Yep. Yeah. Let me pull that back up, because they do really inform everything, Again, optimism. We are sort of AI first. We're optimistic. We don't see this as an existential threat. Like we're choosing to be optimistic and like embrace the superpowers that AI unlocks. Exploration. You talked about our own process, and again, like we have this sort of relationship where we'll just sort of like ramble to each other or send Loom videos, and then the other person will message back and be like, oh, I keyed in on this and this and this. And you did that this weekend, and again, just like summarized it perfectly. You're like, oh, dude, it's flow and play with Jonny and Sway. And I was like, absolutely. But again, like our creative process is, and we talk about this within the Think team all the time, is like we want to approach things like an improvisational jazz band. Again, you mentioned like my sort of obsession with flow states, Sway, which we can get into that, and I would love to like integrate some sort of flow education into the podcast. But they say like one of the highest examples of like a collective consciousness is like an improvisational jazz band, because you have all these sort of high level players, they all have those instruments, but somebody will just start playing, another person will come in and riff off of that, and then they might riff off of what that person's doing. So it just creates this sort of like emergent creativity. And that's very much how we approach things. It's not like you do this, I'll do this. It's like, no, just start jamming, start exploring, start playing, show me what you've got. And then that creates sort of this feedback loop where you can feed off of each other.
Yeah.
And then again,
Yeah.
like community, like we're doing this podcast and we're building these tools, and like the entire sort of like ethos of what we're doing with Think, it's so much like Mike and Jesse said on the Think pod recently, like our killer app is community. That's what we're really doing. We're trying to build a really engaged, educated, and empowered community, you know, and like the open sourcers, the Builders Club we're a part of, like is such a great example of that. And it's still early on, but man, like the energy and excitement in those Discord meetings that we do is like palpable. And it's
insane.
like everybody's like, they don't even have access to the tools necessarily yet, right? Like the souls that
Right.
we're all going to be building on, but people are still like figuring out their ideas, figuring out what they want to build and getting ready, because we have a generational opportunity to be first to market with all this stuff now. And I love that like
Absolutely.
we're doing it in this like open source DIY sort of punk rock space that sort of like Web3 is championed. So yeah, dude, I just love it. I love how everything's coming together. And like, again, these values, it doesn't feel like I don't have to keep these back in mind and be like, does it fall into this? It's like, no, this is it. Like it's in the DNA.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's been really impressive. I think we've only had like 3 or 4 builders call on Discord, and we've been part of the last two. And just seeing what these developers and artists have been presenting, their work in progress, it's really impressive. Really, there's a lot of talented people out there who are in dire need of community and getting that positive feedback loop. Um, so community is like it's ingrained in our culture, and and if you look at all those three, all of them have to do with relationships. You know, relationship with technology, relationship with yourself, and
Yep.
relationship with others. Um, and we're trying to form the right relationship. And I just want to quickly like say show this. A year and a half ago, I was the executive producer for a parody film called Our T2 Remake, where we took the T2 movie, which Arnold Schwarzenegger, and just
Classic, dude.
remade it using AI. Yeah, it was an experimental film. Okay, it's nothing like the movie, but really, this was like AI in its time. Like what was the worst and the best of AI during that time, and we recruited about 50 plus artists and
Dude, the teddy bear is so good.
experience with the Gen AI tools. And the way that we did it, we split the movie into 50 scenes, and everyone had like a 2 3 minute scene to work on to recreate, restyle, reinterpret, right? And we stitched those 50 scenes back together, and it was quite a show. And we premiered, and you see me right here. Whoops, sorry, my mouse here is crazy.
There
You
he
can see me right
is.
here.
First
Nem
man up.
Perez was also, yeah, first man right there. Nem Perez was one of the executive producers as well. He did a lot of the heavy loading, and we premiered in Hollywood, and we had over 200 and
Sick, dude.
plus, yeah, people who came to watch the film. And the whole idea here was, let me close this. Let me switch. Was to show the positive side of AI and what could be possible, because there's always like this whole doom and gloom, AI is gonna take my job and it's replacing me and stuff. Like, no, like the messaging here is like the tools are here to augment us. Like, of course, you need to prepare yourself. You can't ignore it. It's coming.
Yep.
It's coming, right? The data AI already has already been trained on all the data available on the internet today. You can't stop that, right? But so now it's just, what are you going to do? Are you going to fight it? Or are you going to start incorporating it in your workflows, in your life, in your creativity? And so we took inspiration from that, from even the storyline from the T2, where Sarah Connor, she essentially becomes the Terminator, because in T2, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually the nice guy. Like, he's not really hurting people.
Yep.
He's not like, yeah, it's Sarah Connor's the one that we have to stop. So there's a lot of Sarah Connors out there, right?
Yep.
Like, they want to fight AI, they want to fight, the machine is like, no, like, embrace it.
Yep.
It's here. It's here to stay.
I think I heard Brian say that, yeah, he did like a armature analysis of T2, and it was you become what you hate, right? Because that's really like the theme of that story is like Sarah Connor becoming the Terminator, which is really interesting. And again, that's one of Brian's superpowers. You're like, you would never have like guessed that, but then you hear it and you can't unsee it. You're like, oh yeah, that's the real story being told here. But yeah, it's absolutely true. And again, like going back to like wanting to like reach out to the creatives, like extend an olive branch, you always hear the argument that like AI is stealing jobs from artists. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But like, guess what? I'm one of the artists. So like, I'm going to take advantage of that. Like, I'm not going to just let, you know, whatever marketing executive like create a bunch of shitty stuff because he's got access to like build some stuff. It's like,
Of course.
I'm going to show that there are levels to this game, and like a creative with these tools can produce a lot more than, somebody who's not necessarily approaching it that way can. So it's like, no, man, we all have access to this. So like, let's take advantage of it. And again, like, once you sort of like get past that initial fear, and I will say to like the creatives out there, I tell everybody, because I do like a lecture at creative conferences talking about this, where there is an initial sort of grieving process to like, once you actually explore the tools and see what they can do, you go through. Cause like I was, I've been a brand designer, but like Illustrator is really my craft. And like I built brands that are illustration heavy. And once I saw that like what Midjourney can do, like part of you is just like, ah, shit, man, I've been like developing this skill set all my life. And now I can just kind of knock this stuff out, or write an algorithm can do it. But once you get past that and you start to embrace it, and again, like just build higher fidelity things. It's like, I don't have to spend hours doing individual illustrations now. Like I can develop an illustration style using Midjourney, but then I can like make a children's book in a week, right? Like I've wanted to do that my entire career, and I never have because I haven't had like the time available to me. But now I'm like, oh, this is achievable. So like just build higher fidelity stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't have to stop doing what you truly love
Yep.
when it comes to art. This does not mean you need to stop drawing, you need to stop mood boarding, you need to stop sculpting, modeling. You don't need to stop, but try to ask the questions like, okay, how can AI help me optimize, enhance myself? What can I automate? Let's figure out those tools. Maybe you meet AI halfway, and that's good enough for you. You're working 50% faster, right? You get to put your tools still out there, right? And you can say, yeah, I'm AI powered. The end product is not AI, but it's, my whole workflow is AI powered, and all power to you. That's great. That's great. Because if you don't do it, someone else will.
Yep.
The competition will.
Absolutely.
So I want to show you one thing that I did today, and I discovered this app over the weekend. So this dropped over the weekend. Flux Context app, a restore image model.
Whoa.
Where you can upload, these kind of like old,
Yeah.
porn pictures and black and white pictures, and this will regenerate for you.
Incredible. Dude, this is perfect. My mom
So
just gave me a bunch of old photos, like family photos that a lot of them were like water damage and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I can bring this back now.
so that'll be great. My mom only has one picture of my grandma, her mother.
Wow.
So and this is the picture. Here, let me switch. Did it switch on your end? Let me
Still screen sharing the with the slider. There we go.
let's share the window. This is the picture. That's my grandma, my mom's mom. And not the original picture, obviously. This is a picture of the picture.
Yep.
So I uploaded that in the generator there,
Dude.
and it recreated her.
Wow.
So guess what I did? My mom is visiting over the weekend. I showed it to my mom.
She cry.
She starts crying,
Yep.
crying and crying and crying, and she says, "Mommy,
Wow.
mommy."
Dude. Crazy. Think about
Yeah,
how powerful that
yeah,
is,
I
you
could.
know?
Yeah. Do I want to go and spend or pay somebody and go and like edit this and still, end up with like a botched black and white image or like a semi-colored video? Like, no, like I want to make this real, you know, and this had more of an emotional impact,
Yep.
right? At least that's how I process as an artist, right?
Yep.
And I've restored the images before using other tools, but not to this level. It's like, wow, this really got the essence, the whole, like, yeah, this looks like her, and I never met her. So this is for me, like, I look at the picture, and I'm like, wow, that's her.
Yep.
That's a human being that I never got to meet. She had her own thoughts, she had her own ideas, she had, own beliefs, and like, she was the mother of my mom. I'm like, wow, amazing. So that's also something that we also like want to start pushing. It's like you can. It's not only the technical; it's also the craft part, the emotional part, and like all that. What makes an artist so powerful.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Absolutely. Great example. And again, like the things we want to integrate into this show, we've just sort of organically done, but almost do this version of show and tell, right? Where we show
Mm-hmm.
stuff we're working on, talk about the process, talk about the workflow, share about tools. We've got ideas for like, because again, this is just stuff we're doing week in and week out. Like we probably each have like 4 or 5 things we could share and talk about right now. We'll save that for like later episodes because I think we've already been going for like 47 minutes, which is awesome.
Oh wow.
But yeah, we want to show that stuff, talk about how we're using these tools because there's a million different ways to use these tools, and that's what's really exciting about it. And then again, as we get into development, talk about like the tools we're developing and, sort of the approach we're doing and the things they will unlock. So it just feels, yeah, dude, just like perfect overlap. It brings so many aspects of what we're doing, the people we are, what we're interested in, all together in this podcast. And I'm just stoked to have it as an outlet
Yeah.
because like these are, we basically do this all the time, but it's just the two of us. So it's like, why
All the
not
time.
just record it and share it with others? Because I think others will benefit from it and just like get the conversation going, start to build the community. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you're still here and listening, we appreciate you for tuning in for the first one and the first of many. Like I said at the top, this is the worst it will ever be, and I think there's already some really
This
good
is
stuff
the
in here.
worst.
So
Yeah.
stoked to keep it going.
Yeah, likewise, and we're doing a lot of other things in the background that will hopefully help um, bring other ideas to this project. So one, for example, is we're doing some internal Gen AI training with the Think team, and it's just cool to introduce these tools to people who are not so familiar, and with people with ideas who like Gina, for example, she has a you know idea that she wants to do like a documentary of of her personal life. We have Patrick who's working on an animation that did you get to see the
Yeah, dude, he
animation that
made
he
like an
worked on,
entire
Johnny?
animated short, like.
Yeah.
And again, like that's
So
what's so cool. And that our belief and our purpose sums up so perfectly. It's like unlock the artist inside. Like that's the goal,
Yeah.
because it's literally in everybody. And like the right, those barriers to entry are gone now. So like let's lean into it and let's all become artists.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we even have Alan now using a Gen AI, like producing Baby Mikey,
Yep.
and doing
Shout
that
out Baby
sort of
Mikey.
stuff. So shout out to we need more of that. Although the baby trend has kind of died, but I think we could bring it back.
It'll be
More Baby
reborn.
Mike. Reborn. Yeah. Maybe we'll create like that wild idea that you had, the baby slider, right? Baby Mike
Dude.
to adult Mike.
Yeah. Absolutely. That would be incredible to
Yeah.
see.
A viewing experience.
Dude, again, like think about that thing you just pitched out. Like I want a baby Mikey version, and then I want current Mikey and a slider to show me the age progression
Yeah.
between. Like that sounds so crazy, but like literally with the tools available to us right now, we could figure out how to make that happen and be like, let's make
Okay.
23-year-old Mikey.
Yeah.
I knew maybe 26-year-old Mikey, 27-year-old Mikey. So, but yeah, dude, so much fun. And
Never baby Mikey.
didn't know
Until
baby
now.
Mikey until recently, via the podcast, but seems like a pretty chill dude.
Yeah. And this podcast is also to kind of harp on the stuff that we've accomplished, but more to like inspire you. But Jonny, we've done ads, infomercials, podcasts,
Websites. Yeah, dude.
websites, audio podcasts. We're involved now in a studio where we're going to be involved in making movies,
Filmmakers. Yeah.
filmmaker. Like we've done it all, from like lip syncing to animation to motion graphics.
The
It's
immersive
just-
art experience at Meow Wolf. Like, dude,
oh god, oh
just
man,
crazy.
that was amazing.
So that's definitely one
crazy.
we'll have to share and kind of unpack.
Absolutely.
But yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'll love to see how and just to kind of preview the people, like Jonny came up with like the whole schematic of how it's going to be, the aspect ratios would kind of guided us, because it was like a collaboration between him and we wanted to take it a little bit further, but because we were on a time constraint, which is usually always the case, we had to stick to like with images. But Jonny formed a nice relationship with the guy that was producing that end up like projecting the whole thing.
Yeah, the AV guy at Meow Wolf. Shout out
The
Duke.
AV guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I only saw videos. He was there, but from what I saw, and I started getting videos from everyone, it was just amazing. I'm pretty sure you were there, Jonny.
Yep.
That experience.
Yep.
Must have been wild.
Very cool. But yeah, all that to say, lots more to show, lots more to talk about, lots more to create. So yeah, looking forward to it. We'll wrap it here, but thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with more augmented imagination for you.
Yep. We'll be back.
Cool. Peace, everyone.
Peace.